that there's intelligent life throughout the universe. All the people that I talk to know about intelligent life. I think the stat is like 70% of people believe. So who cares? Like if the government comes out and finally like says, "Oh yes, we have proof." Yeah, well, no shit, dude. Why do we even care? Like for government disclosure. I'm not waiting for the government. If somebody wants to believe that we're the only intelligent life in the universe,
yeah, it's a hot day. I'm hanging in the sunshine. You should hit me with the splash gun so I cool down. Won't you come on over?
One of the things I've been really digging lately is watching N.D.E. experiences, near-death experiences. I've never actually had a near-death experience. I had kind of one where my life flashed before my eyes, but I absolutely did not go to the other side and wasn't greeted and wasn't so it wasn't really that type of a near-death experience, although it completely changed my life. But I've always been fascinated with these near-death experiences. I remember reading a book when I was 25 maybe, and it was Raymond Moody. I think it was called Life After Life, and it was about it was all these little stories of these people that had these near-death experiences. And when I was around 25, I absolutely didn't believe in anything, certainly not any religion or any aspect of God, like the vengeful God, that one. So I never really believed in any of that, but I was always spiritual. For some reason, even when I was young, I knew there was more going on. And then my mom and my grandma, they gave me this Raymond A. Moody book. And I remember when I read that made more sense to me than anything that I had ever heard on how to see life. And I remember there's this one story in that book, and my memory might not be that good. This might not even be the story in this book, because I read it 30 years ago. I either have a great memory or I have a terrible memory. This was so this guy he died, and he was greeted by this, you could say, guide. And there was this one scene he took him to. He's watching this homeless guy from I guess a third perspective. So he's watching this homeless guy on the corner. And as he's watching this homeless guy, this super rich dude comes by and has to slow down for traffic and stop. And they make eye contact. And then he goes on. And then all of a sudden, this guy's shown a different perspective from the homeless guy's perspective. Then he sees it from the perspective of this crazy rich dude sitting in the back of his car as he glances over and sees this homeless guy. And so then the guy was like, what do you think of this scene? I feel sorry for the homeless guy. Right then, the guide lifted the veil, and he was able to see exactly what was going on. And that homeless guy and that rich guy had traveled through numerous lives together. They were best friends. They traveled. They've had so many experiences together. So in a way, the homeless guy was even the more advanced spiritually. He chose that life because he knew that his buddy was going to drive by this guy, this homeless guy, and see this homeless guy. And every time he's seen this homeless guy, he'd start remembering a little bit more and a little bit more, he's planting seeds in him. And that those seeds were going to grow. And Mr. Rich Dude was going to do amazing things with the help of this homeless guy that chose that life. And I remember when I read that, man, it just kind of changed the way I look at all my daily interactions. I mean, not to the level that I do now, but certainly at 25, something resonated with me back then. And I had this session with this guy in, I think it was San Francisco. And yeah, it was San Francisco. And he was talking about how he had just recently, like within a couple years, went through this major awakening. And he said that the reason the awakening happened was because this girl basically OD'd on heroin right in front of him. As he's watching her lose it and go into like seizures and start basically dying right in front of him, homie goes into like a panic attack and runs upstairs. His heart's like racing. And in retrospect, that changed his entire life. That interaction, watching her begin to overdose. I hope she didn't overdose. I don't know what actually happened. But as he's watching her overdose, that awoken something in him. And that was the first domino into his spiritual awakening. And when I mentioned to him, I said, wouldn't it be ironic if when you transition home and she is waiting for you, giving you a big high five, and you know her like you are best friends, and she chose that life just for you to awaken. That's, man, when you look at life that way, dude, that's how connected we are. That, when you look at life that way, man, you don't judge as much. You just see beauty everywhere. You see how we're connected. Like, anyway, that's what I've been into, man, is just like listening to these near-death experiences. You know, one thing they do have in common is, even though they're all unique, they all have the same sense of, I'm coming home. And yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I just dig them. Another thing I watched the other day that I thought was interesting, and it's also one of those things that I watch because it validates what I already believe. I was watching this Allison Coe, and I started watching her back in like 2017. She's like a QHHT practitioner. And so I always like the information that comes through on the QHHT sessions. It's never worked for me. I tried twice. But it works for lots of people, man. And I love the information that comes through. But, you know, when I listen to that stuff, I always realize that there's two filters that information is coming through. One of the filters is the client who's actually channeling the information. And then the other filter is the practitioner. And if you don't think the practitioner has some kind of influence over the type of information that's coming through, I don't know. It's what I believe. I believe we're all filters when we're channeling. Anyway, I got off track. So I was listening to this Allison Coe, and it was kind of cool because she started talking about, you know, this guy, and he volunteered to come down here and anchor this light on the planet for this big awakening. And, you know, that gets me excited because that's what I am. Like, I'm an anchor for this light. I know it's real. I know how my life's changed. I know how my friend's life has changed. I know how my family's life has changed. My client's life has changed. So I know this is really happening. But as I'm listening to it, man, I'm also like, dude, this wave of light is here now. And I always get frustrated when they start talking about this wave of energy, this wave of light that's going to awaken all these people. And then they're like, and it's going to happen like next fall or next spring. You're waiting on something to happen to be happy. You're waiting on something to happen to be your authentic self. You're waiting on something to happen. And it's like we shouldn't be waiting anymore. Like, we're the ones pushing it away. Because when it happens, when it ever does happen for whoever it happens for, you realize you had it all the time. So this pushing it back. You know, another thing is she was talking about disclosure. And man, I've been waiting for disclosure since I was like 5, like 50 years, dude. I've been waiting on people to pull their head out of their butt and to openly talk about intelligent life throughout the universe. Like, I know that there's intelligent life throughout the universe. All the people that I talk to know about intelligent life. I think the stat is like 70% of people believe. So who cares? Like, if the government comes out and finally like says, "Oh yes, we have proof." Yeah, well, no shit, dude. Why do we even care? Like, for government disclosure. I'm not waiting for the government. If somebody wants to believe that we're the only intelligent life in the universe, if that's all they can fit into their little box of beliefs, that's cool. I'm not waiting for anybody else I'm not waiting for the mass culture to accept anything that I believe in, to be happy or to live it. Do you realize, I don't know the exact numbers, but think about this. Let's say 60 to 70 million people in America believe there's a place called hell. And then if you don't accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, you're going to be punished and put in hell and burn for eternity. That would be bigger than disclosure for intelligent life. For somehow people to wake up that concept of hell is made up and ridiculous. I think that would change the world even faster than disclosure. Okay, man, I will be making more videos. I will be seeing you guys in the field soon for a group session. I know my job is to anchor this light, and I know that it's changing the lives of the people who were drawn to it. Well, I was just listening to this one channel information, and it was this dude, and he was channeling this being of consciousness, and they said, "What would you do if you were on the planet right now?" And he said, "I would be communicating subconsciously through the field with a mass of people at the same time." And as I'm listening to this, I'm like, "Oh shit, dude, that's what I'm doing." So maybe I should amp it up, man. Okay, man, I love you guys. Have an amazing day, week, month, year. See you in the field. Peace.
If you're looking for some crazy, I'll tell you everybody's there to